The deep black of space surrounded the human exploration ship Horizon Dawn as it glided silently between the silver clouds of the Orion Belt. Stars shimmered like cold fire across the dark, and the hum of the ship's engines gave the only sign of life in the endless void. Inside the command deck, Captain Ryan walked between the control stations, checking data screens and listening to the quiet rhythm of his ship. For Ryan, space was home. He had served the Earth Alliance fleet for more than 10 years, and had seen everything from collapsing moons to ancient alien ruins. But he had never lost his calm nature. The crew respected him for that. He was known as the captain who never raised his voice, even in battle. That night, a minor power flicker ran through the ship. It was small, almost unnoticeable, but Ryan felt it. The floor lights blinked once and returned to normal. On the control screen, a short error message flashed before vanishing. The young technician on duty reported that the sensors had detected movement in Cargo Bay 6. Ryan frowned. That section should have been empty except for spare supply containers. He decided to check it himself. He took the maintenance corridor, his boots echoing against the metal floor. The lights dimmed slightly as he entered the lower deck. The air was colder here and the sound of the engine vibration was stronger. He reached the cargo bay door and entered the access code. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, rows of metal crates were stacked to the ceiling. The lights flickered again and a faint sound reached his ears. It was not the sound of machinery or ventilation. It was breathing. Ryan stayed still and listened carefully. The sound came from behind a group of large storage crates near the far wall. He slowly reached for his sidearm but did not activate it yet. Moving quietly, he stepped between the rows of crates. When he turned the corner, he froze. A young woman crouched behind the crates. Her skin shimmered faintly under the lights, almost reflecting the blue glow of the control panels. Her eyes were golden, bright and wide with fear. She wore a torn silver uniform that did not belong to any human fleet. When she saw Ryan, she gasped and raised her hands. "Please do not shoot," she said quickly. Her voice carried a strange accent but was clear. "I mean no harm." Ryan studied her for a moment. She was clearly not human. The blue skin and golden eyes marked her as alien. But there was something else. She looked exhausted, frightened, and lost. "Who are you?" Ryan asked in a calm but firm tone. She hesitated before answering. "My name is Lyriel. I am from the Valan Dominion." Ryan's expression changed slightly. The Valan Dominion was one of the most powerful alien empires in the galaxy. They were known for advanced technology and strict royal customs. Encounters with them were rare, and none had ever been peaceful for long. "How did you get aboard my ship?" he asked. "I hid during your last stop near the Vega outpost," she said. "Your crew was trading supplies. I slipped into a cargo container before departure. I had no choice." Ryan did not lower his weapon. "You had no choice to invade a military ship?" She shook her head, her golden eyes filled with panic. "They are hunting me. My own people. If they find me, they will use me to start another war." Ryan frowned. "You expect me to believe that?" Lyriel lowered her gaze. "I have nothing to prove it. Only my word." For a long moment, silence filled the bay. Ryan studied her posture and her trembling hands. She did not look like a spy or a soldier. She looked like someone running from something far worse. He finally holstered his sidearm. "You will stay here until I decide what to do," he said. "Do not leave this area without permission." Lyriel nodded quickly, relief washing over her face. Ryan activated the bay's security field to lock the area. Then he left, walking back through the silent corridor. His mind was full of questions. If she was telling the truth, then hiding her could place the entire ship in danger. The Valan Dominion would not forgive anyone who sheltered one of their royal family members. But if he handed her over, he might be sending an innocent person to death. He returned to his quarters and began checking the logs. There had been no external alarms, no sign of forced entry. The container she claimed to have used showed a short power fluctuation before departure, exactly when the ship had left Vega. She might be telling the truth. That thought kept him awake long into the artificial night. The next morning, Ryan ordered a quiet scan of the lower decks. He instructed his officers to check for unknown life signatures without raising an alarm. When the results came back, one faint signal appeared in Cargo Bay 6 matching the alien woman's position. No other signals were detected. He decided to bring her food and water himself. When he returned to the cargo bay, Lyriel was sitting on the floor with her knees drawn to her chest. She looked up as the door opened, her expression uncertain. Ryan placed the tray on the nearby crate. "You should eat," he said. "This is human food, but it is safe." She smiled faintly. "Thank you, Captain." He watched her for a moment before speaking again. "You said your people are hunting you." "Why?" She hesitated, then answered softly. "I am a princess of the Valon Dominion. My father rules one of the central worlds. They want to force me into a bond with a warlord from another clan. If I refuse, they will send soldiers to take me back by force." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "You are saying you are royalty, and you ran away to a human ship?" "I had no choice," she said. "If I accept the bond, millions will die in the coming war. If I refuse, I am marked as a traitor." Ryan sighed. "You understand that hiding here could bring danger to my entire crew. If the Valon ships find out, they will not ask questions." Lyrael looked at him with desperate eyes. "I know, but please, Captain Ryan, I only need time. I can hide. I will not cause trouble." Her voice was sincere. Ryan felt a strange pull in his chest, a mix of pity and curiosity. She was unlike any alien he had met before. "Very well," he said at last. "You will stay in my quarters until I find a safe place for you. You will not speak to the crew, and you will not use any ship system without permission." Lyrael bowed her head. "I understand. Thank you." He guided her through the maintenance corridor, making sure no crew members saw them. When they reached his cabin, he opened the door and motioned her inside. The room was simple, with a desk, a bed, and a view window showing the endless stars. "You will stay here for now," he said. "I will bring food and arrange something better later." Lyrael looked around with wonder. "It is peaceful here. Your people value quiet spaces." Ryan sat at his desk and studied her again. "Your people are known for being proud and powerful. Why would a princess trust a human captain?" "Because you are not like them," she said softly. "Your ships explore. You do not conquer. I have read about humans. You fight for freedom. That is what I want too." Ryan felt the weight of her words. She was speaking from pain, not arrogance. For the next few days, he kept her hidden. He told his officers he was repairing a power issue in his quarters and needed privacy. Lyrael stayed quiet, reading from his datapads and learning human speech patterns faster than he expected. Sometimes, when Ryan returned from duty, he would find her standing by the window, watching the stars. She often asked simple questions. "Do humans dream of other worlds?" Or, "Why do your people travel so far when you already have a home?" Ryan's answers were short but honest. "We travel because we want to understand. The universe is full of questions. We want to find the answers." She smiled at that. "Then we are not so different." But trouble began sooner than expected. 3 days later, the Horizon Dawn intercepted a coded transmission from the outer edge of the Orion Belt. The message was short and urgent. It came from a Valon patrol ship. They were searching for a missing royal member who had escaped from their fleet near the Vega outpost. Rian's heart sank. He turned off the transmission before the crew could read the details. That night, he returned to his quarters and found Lyrael awake, sitting near the control panel. She looked up as he entered. "You heard it, didn't you?" she asked quietly. "Yes," he said. "They are looking for you." Her face went pale. "They will not stop until they find me." Ryan paced across the room. "If they scan this ship and find your energy signature, we are finished. I should hand you over before this turns into something worse." Lyrael stood up quickly. "If you do, they will kill me. They will call it justice for breaking the royal bond, and when they learn that a human ship helped me, they will attack your people to erase the shame." Ryan stopped walking. Her words carried no threat, only fear and truth. He sat down, thinking deeply. "Then we hide you better. You stay in the internal maintenance zone. The scanners there are shielded. If anyone asks, I will say we are testing power systems." Lyrael's eyes filled with relief. "You are risking everything for me." "Why?" Ryan looked out at the stars. "Because I believe every being has the right to choose their own path. If your people want to destroy that, then they are wrong." She stepped closer, her voice soft. "Among my people, saving a life creates a life bond. You are now part of my destiny, Captain Ryan." He turned toward her with a calm but puzzled look. "That is not how humans see it." "Then humans must learn," she said with a faint smile. Ryan sighed, not realizing how deep the path ahead would go. He had taken in a frightened fugitive, but what he did not know was that the fate of 2 civilizations had already begun to change because of that single act of mercy. The Horizon Dawn sailed quietly through the dark emptiness of space, its hull glinting faintly under the distant light of a nearby star cluster. Captain Rian sat at the control desk reviewing the ship's status and the most recent sensor scans. Though the ship was operating normally, a tension lingered in the air, one that no alarm or message could explain. It was the quiet awareness that an unknown life form had entered their ship, and Ryan had chosen to hide her. Lyrael had settled into his quarters, but she did not act like a prisoner. Instead, she explored the room with careful curiosity. She studied the displays, touched the walls of the cabin, and sometimes stared out at the stars for hours. Every now and then, she asked Ryan simple questions, like how humans navigated through space or what he remembered about the first star systems humanity had discovered. But her presence brought more than curiosity. There was an energy about her that Ryan could not explain. It was as if the room itself was warmer when she moved through it. It was subtle but noticeable. He often caught her watching him with her golden eyes, and each time he turned toward her, she would lower her gaze, almost shyly. 3 days after her arrival, Ryan returned from his rounds to find her standing near the cabin's main window, her hands folded in front of her. She spoke without looking at him. "Captain Ryan, I must speak plainly," she said. Ryan leaned against his desk, watching her. "Go ahead." "In my world," she began slowly, "saving a royal life creates a bond that cannot be broken. The life of the one who is saved is tied to the one who saved them." You have saved me." Ryan frowned, unsure how to respond. "You are speaking of your customs. They do not apply here." She lifted her head, golden eyes shining. "They do. And according to those customs, I am now bound to you. You are my mate, chosen by the threads of fate. I do not claim this lightly. The bond is sacred among my people." Rian rubbed the back of his neck. "You mean to tell me that because I did my duty as a captain, you now declare me your mate?" She nodded solemnly. "It is not my choice alone. The threads choose, and they have chosen you." He stared at her, speechless for a long moment. The human mind did not understand this. In human culture, life and choice were separate. People were free to choose their companions, but here, before him, an alien princess insisted that a bond had formed between them beyond his will. "Then what do you expect me to do?" Ryan asked finally. "To accept it," she replied simply. "Not to argue, not to deny. Accepting it does not require love or affection immediately. It is respect for the bond." Ryan shook his head. "I do not know if I can. I do not even know you." "You know me better than you realize," Lyrael said softly. "You have risked your life for mine, protected me from death. That is the first step of understanding." Before Rian could respond, a series of warning lights flashed on the control panel. He moved quickly to the desk and tapped several commands. A Valan patrol ship had been detected near the outer edge of their route. The signature matched the transmission they had intercepted earlier. "They are close," Ryan said, his voice tense. Lyrael stepped forward. "Then time is short. We must be ready." Rian's brow furrowed. "Ready? You are telling me to prepare for an encounter with an alien fleet while hiding you in my quarters?" She nodded. "If they find me, it will bring war to your people. You must act before they reach this sector." Ryan knew she spoke the truth. The Valan Dominion would not ask questions. Their military tradition left no room for mercy. If the princess was aboard a human vessel, the fleet would assume collusion and attack without hesitation. He ran his hand over his face, feeling the weight of the decision. "Then we hide you better," he said. "We can shield this section of the ship. The maintenance corridors below the main decks have limited scans. You will stay there. Only I will come to you." Lyrael's eyes softened. "I trust you." Over the next 2 days, Ryan arranged for temporary concealment. The ship's interior sensors were rerouted, and small electromagnetic shields were placed in critical locations to hide her unique energy signature. Lyrael spent her time learning from the human manuals and studying star charts. She moved silently, careful not to alarm any crew member who might notice her. Despite her caution, her behavior began to change the crew's perception of Ryan. He noticed small looks of confusion and whispered questions when he returned from rounds. Some officers noticed that he appeared distracted at times, but none knew why. Lyrael's presence was entirely secret, yet her influence was undeniable. One night, as the Horizon Dawn passed a cluster of asteroid fields, Lyrael approached Rian quietly while he monitored the ship's trajectory. "Captain," she said softly, "you cannot imagine how different your people are. You travel into space to explore, not to conquer. That is rare among advanced species. Ryan looked at her, tired but attentive. And you think that makes humans special? I do, she said with a faint smile. Your curiosity does not destroy. It seeks knowledge. That is why I trust you. Ryan felt a small weight lift from his chest. Amid all the danger, her words reminded him of why he had become an explorer. Humanity was full of contradictions, but it had the courage to face the unknown with hope, not fear. The calm did not last. 3 days later, the ship's sensors picked up a new signal. This one was faster, closer, and unmistakably Valon. A small strike fleet was moving toward them. Ryan quickly called an emergency meeting with his officers. We have Valon ships approaching, he announced. I want full evasive maneuvers. Prepare shields and weapons, and stay alert for anything unusual. The officers nodded, working quickly. Ryan returned to his quarters to find Leorail already standing near the hatch. They are close, she said. You will need my help if they attack. I can shield the ship temporarily, but the energy it uses will leave me weak. Ryan hesitated. You will risk yourself for us? It is the only way to protect you, she said firmly. And you. You are bound to me now, whether you accept it or not. I will not let anything happen to you. Her words shocked him. Though he did not fully understand the bond she claimed existed, he could feel the sincerity and urgency in her voice. He nodded slowly. Then we prepare. Tell me what I need to do. For hours they worked together. Lyriel connected herself to the ship's systems using small energy conduits. The ship's internal displays flickered as her bioenergy merged with the navigation and defensive modules. Ryan watched in awe as the systems responded instantly, stabilizing sections that were previously malfunctioning. You are incredible, he said. It is necessary, she replied. If I fail, your people will suffer, and I will be punished for failing my duty as a princess. The ship's communication officer interrupted with a tense report. Captain, the fleet is within visual range. They are scanning for energy anomalies. One ship has detected an unusual life signature on the horizon dawn. Ryan's heart sank. Lyrael looked at him, golden eyes steady. They are coming for me. You must trust me. He swallowed hard. I do. The Valon scout ship came into view, a sleek vessel of silver and black bristling with energy weapons. Its scanners swept across the horizon dawn, slowing as they passed the section where Lyrael was hiding. Ryan could feel the tension in the room, the quiet hum of the ship growing louder as the two sides approached each other. Lyrael placed her hands on the energy conduits. A faint glow spread across her skin as she prepared to project a defensive field. When they fire, I will shield the ship. You must steer through the asteroid field. We can lose them there. Ryan took the controls with steady hands, moving the horizon dawn into the nearest asteroid field. Rocks of all sizes floated silently in space, a dangerous but perfect cover. The Valon ship fired a pulse of energy, but Lyrael's shield absorbed most of it. Sparks flew across the consoles, and Ryan adjusted the engines to avoid collisions. For the first time, he understood that Lyrael was not merely a princess or a fugitive. She was a powerful being capable of defending them in ways humans could not. When the scout ship finally retreated, unable to navigate the asteroid field as quickly, Ryan exhaled slowly. You saved us, he said, looking at her with new respect. Lyrael smiled faintly. We saved each other. That night, as the horizon dawn continued its journey, Ryan reflected on the events. He had gone from seeing her as a stowaway to understanding that she was both a guide and a protector. And though he did not fully accept her claim of being his mate, a part of him could not ignore the strange bond that had already begun. The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to a new chapter in their lives. The horizon dawn was no longer just a human ship exploring space. It was a vessel carrying a secret, a fugitive, and a bond that would shape the future of humanity and the galaxy alike. The horizon dawn sailed through the darkness of space with the quiet hum of its engines vibrating through the metal hull. Captain Ryan stood on the command deck, his hands resting lightly on the railing as he watched the blinking sensors. Every alert and every signal was a potential threat. The Valon fleet had not given up. Their patrols moved closer, and the air of tension aboard the ship was heavy. Ryan's thoughts returned to Lyrael. The alien princess remained hidden, but her presence was no longer a secret to him. Every decision he made now involved her safety as well as the ship's. He knew that the Valon Dominion would not stop until she was returned. Their customs were strict and their honor unforgiving. Captain, said Lieutenant Mara, the communications officer, breaking his thoughts. We have a new reading. Sensors detect multiple energy pulses. They match Valon fleet technology, faster than anything we have encountered before. Rian nodded. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Keep the crew at battle stations and maintain shields at maximum. Inform them to avoid direct engagement if possible. Yes, Captain, Mara replied, her fingers flying across the control panel. Ryan moved to the hidden maintenance corridor where Lyrael was staying. The metallic walls reflected the soft glow of the emergency lights. Lyrael was crouched near a small energy panel, her golden eyes scanning the readouts. They are close, she said without looking up. If they scan the ship, they will find me. I must connect to the systems. Only then can we hide from them. Ryan's brow furrowed. Are you sure you can do it? Last time it drained you for hours. She straightened, determination in her posture. It is the only way. If they board the ship, humanity will be dragged into a war it cannot win. I will not let that happen, Ryan sighed. Very well. I will guide you. But if anything happens, I will not let you risk your life alone. Lyrael smiled faintly. Then we will do it together. They entered the small compartment where the ship's emergency conduits ran along the walls. Lyrael touched the energy nodes carefully and a soft glow spread across her blue skin. The air seemed to hum as her bioenergy connected with the ship's systems. Ryan watched in awe as lights flickered and displays shifted. Every warning and alert was stabilized within seconds. The ship's shield strengthened and energy fluctuations disappeared. Impressive, Ryan said quietly. You are more powerful than I realized. It is my duty, she said. And it is the only way to protect all of you. Back on the command deck, the Horizon Dawn's sensors detected movement outside. The Valon fleet was closing in, a squadron of sleek silver ships glinting in the starlight. Their scanning pulses swept across space, searching for anomalies. Ryan gritted his teeth. Mara, they are locking onto us. Prepare countermeasures. Shields up, weapons ready. I want every escape route analyzed. The ship began to maneuver through a dense asteroid field. Massive rocks floated silently, a dangerous obstacle but the best cover they had. Ryan guided the ship with skill, dodging the larger asteroids while maintaining enough speed to evade the Valon scanners. Lyrael's glow pulsed with intensity. Captain, I can shield the ship for a short time. You must navigate through the field quickly. Any delay could expose us, Ryan nodded. Do it. I trust you. Her energy spread across the hull, forming a faint protective barrier. When the first Valon patrol fired, their energy pulses struck the shield and dissipated harmlessly. Sparks flickered on the control panels, but the ship remained intact. Keep steady, Lyrael said, her voice calm despite the strain she felt. They cannot detect me as long as the shield holds, but it will not last long. The Horizon Dawn twisted and turned through the asteroid field. Ryan's hands moved quickly across the controls, dodging collisions while maintaining a path that would confuse the enemy sensors. He could see the Valon ships struggling to match their speed, colliding with small asteroids and sending alarms across their own displays. Almost there, Ryan muttered. Just a little farther. Lyrael's glow dimmed slightly, showing the drain on her energy. I can hold for now, she said, though exhaustion crept into her voice. You must lead them away from the ship's core. Ryan's eyes widened. You will damage yourself if I push too far. We need another plan if they do not give up. Before he could react, a massive pulse of energy fired from a Valon ship. Lyrael expanded her shield in a brilliant surge, absorbing the attack. The room shook with the force, and Ryan struggled to maintain control. You are amazing, he said, trying to keep his voice steady over the alarms. I've never seen anything like this. It is only for survival, Lyrael replied. I cannot allow them to harm you or your crew. The Horizon Dawn finally broke free from the densest part of the asteroid field. The Valon fleet had been forced to retreat temporarily, unable to pursue without colliding with the rocks. Ryan exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. Lyrael's glow dimmed completely and she sank to her knees, her energy nearly exhausted. Ryan moved to her side, supporting her carefully. You should rest. You've done more than anyone could ask. She looked up at him, faint smile on her lips. I will recover. But there is more to come. They will not give up, Ryan nodded. He had begun to realize that this was not merely a game of cat and mouse. The Valon Dominion would not rest until they had their princess. Humanity was caught in a conflict that spanned star systems. For the next few days, the Horizon Dawn took a cautious route through uncharted regions, avoiding Valan patrols and hiding from any scans. Ryan monitored every signal, and Lyrael helped when her energy allowed. She became more comfortable aboard the ship, learning human customs and asking endless questions about their technology and culture. Despite the constant danger, a bond began to form between them. It was subtle at first, small conversations in the corridors, quiet moments watching the stars from the cabin windows. Lyrael would sometimes brush her fingers against the control panels, curious about how humans built machines to survive in space. She marveled at the ship's engines and navigation systems, often asking Rian to explain the mechanics in detail. One night, as Rian worked on the navigation charts, Lyrael spoke softly from the doorway. "Captain, may I ask something personal?" He looked up. "Of course. Why do humans continue to explore when the universe is so dangerous?" she asked. "Why risk your lives when so much can be lost?" Ryan paused, thinking carefully. "Because knowledge is worth more than comfort. The universe is vast and we want to understand it. We want to see the possibilities, not just survive." Lyrael's eyes shone. "Then your people are brave, and your kindness toward me shows you are wise beyond fear." Ryan felt a strange warmth in his chest. Her words were simple, but they carried weight. He had been responsible for many lives, but none had ever expressed understanding like this. The calm was short-lived. A new alert sounded across the command deck. Another Valan fleet had appeared, larger and faster than the previous squadron. Ryan quickly called the crew to battle stations. "They are serious this time," he said. "This is no patrol. They intend to board us." Lyrael's glow returned, stronger than before. "I can prepare the ship's systems for defense, but it will take all my energy." "You must lead the crew carefully," Ryan nodded. "Then we do this together. I will not let you face it alone." The Valan fleet came into view, silver ships glinting in the starlight, their energy weapons primed. They formed a blockade, cutting off escape routes. Ryan's heart raced, but he remained calm, issuing orders and monitoring the ship's status. Lyrael connected to the ship's core, her energy flowing through the circuits and stabilizing the shields. The Valan ships fired and their pulses struck the shield, dissipating harmlessly. The crew watched in amazement as the energy barrier held, stronger than anything they had seen before. "Keep steady," Lyrael said. "I will maintain the shield, but I cannot hold it forever. We must act quickly." Rian took the controls and began a careful maneuver, weaving through a cluster of dense asteroids. The Valan ship struggled to follow, colliding with smaller rocks and forcing them to retreat slightly. "You are doing well," Lyrael said, her voice calm despite the strain. "We can outmaneuver them if we continue." Ryan felt a deep respect for her. She was no longer just a princess or a stowaway. She was a protector, a partner, and someone who had risked everything to save them. As the Horizon Dawn emerged from the asteroid cluster, the Valan fleet disengaged, but their presence remained a constant threat. Rian knew this was only the beginning. The enemy would return, stronger and more determined. Lyrael sank to the floor, exhausted but alive. Ryan helped her sit, his hand steadying her. "You saved the ship. You saved all of us. It is what I must do," she said softly. "And you saved me. That is why the bond exists. We protect each other." Ryan looked at her, understanding the weight of her words. This bond, whether human or Valan, had already begun to shape their fate. Humanity was now intertwined with the fate of an alien princess, and the challenges ahead would test them both. Outside, the stars continued to shine, silent witnesses to a partnership that could change the course of the galaxy. The Horizon Dawn glided through the vast emptiness of space, carrying the tension of a crew braced for the inevitable. Captain Rian stood on the command deck, his hands gripping the railing as he surveyed the situation. Ahead, a Valan fleet emerged from hyperspace, sleek silver ships glinting in the dim light of distant stars. The enemy had not forgotten the princess hiding aboard the human vessel, and this time they intended to take her back by force. Ryan turned to his officers, his voice steady but firm. "We cannot outrun them this time. Prepare all defenses. Shields at maximum, weapons ready, and keep the crew at battle stations. We will not surrender." Lieutenant Mara nodded, her fingers moving quickly over the control panel. "Understood, Captain. I will monitor their movements and coordinate evasive maneuvers." Ryan exhaled, glancing toward the hidden maintenance compartment where Lyrael had been staying. He had sent her there earlier to rest and regain strength, but he knew she would not remain idle for long. The bond she claimed between them was stronger than custom. It was evident in the way she had risked herself for the ship already. As the Valan ships approached, Ryan called for a full tactical briefing. The officers gathered around the central display, showing the enemy formation. The fleet consisted of 4 large cruisers and multiple smaller strike ships, all bristling with energy weapons. Their scanning arrays were advanced, capable of detecting even the faintest life signature. "They know she is aboard," Ryan said quietly. "They will not hold back." Mara pointed at the display. "If we engage them directly, we will be destroyed. We need a strategy that uses the terrain, the asteroids, and the ship's capabilities. We cannot rely on strength alone." Ryan nodded. "Agreed. We will create a defensive position near the debris field of the abandoned starbase. It will limit their movement and allow us to focus on shields and evasive maneuvers." The crew worked quickly, plotting a course that would bring the Horizon Dawn to the starbase without exposing their hidden passenger. Lyrael, sensing the urgency, appeared at Ryan's side. Her golden eyes glimmered with determination. "I can help," she said. "If we reach the starbase, I can merge partially with the ship's systems to create a living shield. It will protect the crew and give you an advantage. But it will weaken me." Ryan considered her words. "You risk everything again?" "I will," she said firmly. "It is the only way to protect humanity and myself." Ryan placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Then we do this together. We will survive." They reached the debris field of the abandoned starbase, a labyrinth of broken satellites, rusted structures, and floating machinery. The Valan fleet followed, confident in their superiority, unaware of the traps that awaited them. Lyrael connected herself to the ship's core, her energy flowing through the systems like a living conduit. The lights on the control panels flickered as she stabilized the shields and prepared to extend her protective field outward. The crew watched in awe, realizing that the ship itself had become part of her power. "Captain," she said softly, "I will hold the shields as long as possible, but you must lead them into the debris. They cannot follow easily. Timing is everything." Ryan nodded. "Understood. All units follow my lead. Focus on evasion and defense. Do not fire unless absolutely necessary." The Horizon Dawn moved carefully through the maze of metal and rock, the Valan cruisers following. One of the smaller strike ships tried to flank them but collided with a piece of debris, sending alarms blaring across its consoles. Another cruiser fired its energy weapons, but Lyrael's shield absorbed the blasts, her glow bright and steady despite the strain. "Keep steady," she said. "I can feel their approach. We can outmaneuver them if we stay focused." Ryan guided the ship through a narrow passage between 2 massive structures. The Valan fleet struggled to follow, their long-range weapons unable to target the Horizon Dawn accurately. Sparks flew across the consoles as debris struck the enemy ships, forcing them to retreat slightly. The crew began to gain confidence, inspired by the courage of their captain and the power of the hidden princess. They realized that this was not a simple battle of strength but of strategy, skill, and trust. "Captain," Mara said, "they are attempting a coordinated strike. If they breach the debris field, they could board us." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Then we must act now. Lyrael, can you extend the shield to cover the entire ship?" She nodded. "I can, but it will drain me completely. I may lose consciousness." "Do it," Ryan said firmly. "The crew and the ship are counting on you." Her energy surged through the systems, creating a protective barrier that shimmered across the hull. The Valan fleet fired again, and their energy pulses struck the shield, dissipating harmlessly. The ship shook with the force, but Ryan's steady hand kept it on course. The enemy cruisers attempted to adjust their position, but the debris field limited their movement. One by one, they collided with smaller pieces of metal, forcing them to slow down. Ryan seized the opportunity, guiding the Horizon Dawn through a narrow corridor that the larger ships could not follow. Inside the ship, Lyrael's breathing grew shallow. Her glow dimmed as the energy drain took its toll. Ryan knelt beside her, placing a hand gently on her arm. "You are doing more than anyone could ask," he said. "Rest when we are safe." She looked at him, golden eyes filled with determination. "I cannot rest yet. We are not safe until they leave. You must continue to lead." Ryan stood resolute. "Then I will. All units prepare for one final maneuver. We will draw them toward the unstable core of the star base. If they follow, They will risk collision or damage. Use the debris to your advantage. The Horizon Dawn moved carefully, drawing the enemy into a trap. The Valon cruisers followed, unaware of the dangers ahead. One by one, they collided with unstable structures, causing explosions that rocked the surrounding space. The crew cheered quietly, realizing their plan was working. Lyriel's shield flickered, showing her exhaustion, but she continued to protect the ship. Her presence was both a weapon and a guardian. Ryan marveled at her courage and the strength of the bond they shared. As the Valon fleet retreated, the Horizon Dawn emerged from the debris field intact. The crew breathed a collective sigh of relief, knowing they had survived a battle that could have ended in disaster. Lyriel sank to the floor, exhausted but alive. Ryan knelt beside her, supporting her gently. "You saved the ship," he said softly. "You saved all of us." "It is my duty," she replied. "And your courage guided us. We protect each other, Captain. That is the bond between us." Ryan looked at her, realizing the truth in her words. The bond she claimed existed was not only a matter of tradition, but also a connection forged through shared risk and trust. The crew gathered around, offering thanks and relief, but Ryan remained focused on the future. He knew the Valon Dominion would not give up. The encounter had only strengthened their determination to recover the princess. Humanity was now a part of a larger conflict, one that required not only courage but also wisdom and unity. Lyriel's presence had changed the ship, and Ryan understood that her power and insight were vital to their survival. She was more than a stowaway or a fugitive. She was a partner in every sense of the word, and the bond between them would guide the Horizon Dawn through the challenges ahead. That night, as the ship sailed quietly through the star-filled void, Ryan and Lyriel stood together at the observation window. The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to the courage and resilience of those who faced impossible odds. "We have survived this battle," Ryan said quietly. "But I know more challenges await." Lyriel nodded, her golden eyes reflecting the distant light of distant worlds. "I am ready, Captain. Together we can face whatever comes. The bond between us will not fail." Ryan felt a sense of resolve he had never known. The Horizon Dawn was more than a ship, and Lyriel was more than a princess. Together, they had become a force capable of shaping the future, not just for humanity but for the galaxy itself. The stars outside remained silent and eternal, but aboard the Horizon Dawn, a new legend was being written, a story of courage, trust, and the bond between a human captain and an alien princess who refused to be claimed by fate alone. The war was over, but the galaxy was far from calm. The Avari fleets had returned to their home systems under Ryan's command signal, and human ships had stopped their advance at the border. Every side waited to see what would happen next. Peace was fragile like a crystal, and one wrong move could break it. Ryan sat in the control room of Silver Dawn, staring at the endless stars. The ship had become famous overnight. Every news network in human space called him the man who captured the Avari princess, though they all told a different version of the story. Some called him a hero, others called him a liar, but he did not care about fame. He only cared about what came next. Cirrus stood beside him, looking at the glowing data on the console. She had changed since the day she hid in his quarters. Her royal clothing had been replaced with a simple jacket and trousers, yet she still carried the same grace that reminded everyone she was not from this world. The light from the console reflected in her silver eyes. She asked if he was nervous about the peace talks. Ryan said he was not afraid of facing alien leaders, but he was afraid of what humans might do if the talks failed. They had been invited to the neutral station Nova Reach, built on the edge of both territories. Delegates from many species were gathering there to witness the first official meeting between humans and the Avari Empire. The Emperor himself was coming. Sarah said her father would not forgive her easily, but she was ready to face him. Ryan promised that whatever happened, he would not let her face it alone. The journey to Nova Reach was long and silent. Ryan checked the ship's systems again and again, unable to calm his thoughts. The last few months had changed his life forever. He had fought a galactic empire, escaped death, and bonded with an alien princess who believed he was her destined partner. He still did not understand the bond completely, but he knew it was real. When Saris was near, he could sense her emotions, and she could sense his. That strange link had saved them more than once. When the Silver Dawn arrived at Nova Reach, hundreds of ships surrounded the station. Fighters, transports, cargo vessels, and diplomatic cruisers filled the orbit. Security was strict and every ship was scanned before docking. As soon as they stepped out, a group of human officers greeted them. The commander, a tall woman named Audra, saluted Ryan and told him he had made history. Ryan shook his head and said he had only tried to keep everyone alive. The interior of the station was massive, filled with banners from different worlds. Humans, Avari, and other species walked through the halls, some in curiosity, some in fear. The tension could be felt in the air. Cirrus looked calm, but her hands trembled slightly. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder and told her that whatever her father said, she was no longer alone. She smiled and said that having a human at her side gave her courage. The meeting hall was a wide circular chamber with glass walls that showed the stars outside. At the center stood a long table made of black metal and crystal. On one side sat the human delegation, led by Admiral Rorik. On the other side, the Avari entered in silence. When the Emperor appeared, every voice stopped. He was tall, with long white hair and golden armor that shimmered like liquid light. His presence filled the hall with authority. Cirrus bowed her head, but not as a servant. She greeted him as an equal. The Emperor's eyes studied her carefully. He said she had shamed her house by running away and joining with a human. Cirrus replied that she had not run from duty, only from a future built on lies. She said that she wanted peace between their people, not a forced union with a warlord. The Emperor's gaze shifted to Ryan. He said that a human had no right to interfere with Avari affairs. Ryan replied that he never wanted to, but when Cirrus came to him for help, he could not turn her away. He said that humans believe everyone deserves the right to choose their path, no matter who they are. His voice was calm but firm. For a long moment, the Emperor said nothing. Then he asked about the ancient bond. He demanded to know if it was true that Cirrus had bonded with a human. Ryan hesitated, but Cirrus stepped forward and said yes. She said the bond was real and it was not forced. She explained that the bond mark had appeared on both of them during the battles, and that it allowed them to share strength and thought. She said it had helped them save countless lives. The Avari leaders murmured among themselves. The Emperor raised a hand to silence them. He walked closer to Ryan and looked into his eyes. There was no hatred, only curiosity. He said the old prophecies spoke of a union between the Avari royal line and a being of free will who would guide them toward a new age. He had thought it was a myth, but now he was not sure. Admiral Rorik stood and reminded everyone that the human colonies near Avari space were still under threat from scattered fleets. He said peace would not last unless both sides agreed to share borders and protect civilians. The Emperor listened and then turned to Cirrus again. He said that if she truly believed in peace, she would return to her people and lead them. Cirrus shook her head and said she could not rule through fear. She wanted to build trust, not obedience. The hall grew quiet as both sides waited for a decision. Ryan stepped forward and spoke. He said that humans did not want to rule or conquer. They wanted understanding and partnership. He said that if the Avari could see humans as equals rather than threats, both civilizations could grow stronger together. He said that Cirrus had already taken the first step by choosing peace over power. The Emperor looked at his daughter for a long time. Then he removed the crest from his armor and placed it on the table. He said the Empire would recognize the human colonies as independent and agreed to a shared border treaty. In return, he asked that Cirrus represent both sides as an ambassador. Cirrus agreed. Applause filled the hall as the first human and Avari peace accord was signed. Cameras flashed and the news spread through the networks. For the first time in generations, humans and Avari would no longer see each other as enemies. After the ceremony, Ryan and Cirrus walked out to the observation deck. The stars stretched across the window like rivers of light. Cirrus leaned against the railing and sighed. She said it still felt like a dream. Ryan said it felt more like a storm that had finally passed. Cirrus turned to him and said she owed him everything. Ryan smiled and said she owed him a new hull for his ship, since her escape had caused more trouble than any cargo run. She laughed softly and said he still did not understand what their bond meant. Ryan said maybe he did not need to. He only knew that they had made something impossible happen. They stood there in silence for a while, watching the fleets moving peacefully in orbit. The same ships that once fired on each other were now standing guard together. Ryan felt a quiet pride. He had never wanted to be a hero, but somehow he had helped change the course of two civilizations. Later that night, Ryan returned to the Silver Dawn. The ship's engines were repaired and its hull gleamed under the station lights. Cirrus followed him inside. She said her father wanted her to stay as an ambassador, but she wanted to travel with him for a while longer. Ryan said she might be safer on the station, but she shook her head. She said the bond between them would not let her stay behind. Ryan finally agreed. He told her there was always room on his ship for one more passenger, even if that passenger was a royal who caused endless trouble. She smiled and said that she preferred to be called a friend rather than a princess. As they lifted off, the stars shimmered outside the viewport. The Silver Dawn moved away from Nova Reach, heading toward open space. The galaxy was full of dangers, mysteries, and wonders waiting to be found. Cirrus sat beside Ryan in the cockpit and asked where they would go next. Ryan said anywhere that needed help or hope. Cirrus nodded and said that was a very human answer. Ryan replied that maybe it was also an Avari answer now. They both laughed softly as the engines roared to life. The ship flew into the stars, leaving the station behind. Messages of peace spread across the networks, and both human and Avari citizens watched the news in awe. For the first time, they believed in something greater than fear. As the Silver Dawn vanished into the horizon, Ryan looked at Cirrus and said that maybe destiny was not something written in ancient books. Maybe it was something built by courage and trust. Cirrus agreed and said that the bond between them had shown her what humanity truly was. The stars stretched ahead like endless roads of light, and together they followed them, not as a captain and a fugitive, but as two souls bound by choice, leading a new age for both their worlds.